We do want to go out to Kentucky right now. The big news out there today is that Scottie Scheffler, the PGA golfer, had all charges dropped against him. Let's listen to his attorney right now.
We really wish to extend our condolences to the Mills family because these kind of tournaments can't go on without people like John Mills working out there and volunteers and that type thing. And it's just a tragic situation. We were pleased that the case was dismissed today. Obviously, was dismissed without prejudice or with prejudice, which is something that we had required. We were prepared to go forward and litigate this matter. We were also prepared to litigate the case civilly. At the time actually we were going to start beginning litigating it civilly on Monday, whenever Scottie had to appear in court. We were going to begin the litigation regarding the civil matter. He does not wish to do that. He wants to move on, and he's obviously having a historic career.
Why doesn't he want to file a lawsuit?
Well, Andy, lawsuits are paid by the taxpayers. If he prevails in civil litigation against the LMPD, who pays that? Taxpayers of Louisville. He doesn't wish the taxpayers of Louisville to pay him for whatever occurred. Also, too, litigation is a distraction for anyone. And the truly historic season he is having right now, being involved in litigation would be a distraction. And as we've learned, you all local know I was involved in Kenneth Walker's case. I was involved in David McAtee's case. Litigation doesn't change what the police do. We can sue them and continually bring in those litigations, and it doesn't change. If Scottie thought it would somehow make a positive difference, I'm sure he would be willing to do anything that would make a positive change in policing or anything else. We had lengthy discussions regarding that as well as regarding the criminal case, and he understands it was a miscommunication. As Mr. O'Connell said, he wasn't aware that the fatality had occurred. He had been directed, as other players were, how to proceed into Valhalla. That's what he was doing. And, when this occurred, obviously, tensions were high. As you can tell from the body cam audio that several of you asked me about in the police car on the way downtown, that is Scottie Scheffler. He is, as always, as nice and polite and respectful as you could possibly be. I can assure you, if I was in the back of that police car, I would not have been nearly as polite as he was. But that's who he is. And, the one thing about this possible criminal case, as I said, we were prepared to try the case, and a civil case. Every case is dependent on the quality of the defendant or the plaintiff. If they are likable, they are credible, and they are honest, then you have a good case. Scottie Scheffler, you cannot find one person to say a bad word about him. When he's in a police car after being falsely arrested, he is still a perfect gentleman. I can assure you, Andy Wolfson, you would not have been. Okay? I mean, it is remarkable the restraint and character he evidenced, not only during the incident, after the incident as he's being taken downtown, and in the press conference that day. Scottie Scheffler, we need more Scottie Schefflers in the world.
How does he feel like
he got from throughout the city? He's not from Louisville, but there were lots of people supporting him from then until now.
Well, it's obvious he didn't do anything wrong. And as I've said repeatedly, the more evidence that comes out, the more it shows that, Scottie was a victim here. And I think everybody sees something like this happen and realizes they're one wrong turn or running into the wrong person away from going to jail themselves.
Steve, I have to ask you, though, the statements that Scottie made after the arrest don't seem to totally align with what you're saying right now. He admits that he got impatient and went too far.
No, here's what happened, is he is being interrogated after the most stressful situation of his life, right? And the officer is actually asking him leading questions and trying to get him to agree with them, okay? And that's why you don't talk to the police, because they are going to try to put words in your mouth. And that's exactly what they did.
But that was after he
No.
read his Miranda rights. He didn't
Of
have to
course,
speak.
he didn't have to speak. But again, he asked to talk to the officer. He wanted to explain to him what happened. However, they are trying to get him to confess to something that he didn't do. And the video evidence shows he didn't do it. That's why you don't talk to the police. They are not trying to get to what happened. They are trying to get you to incriminate yourself. And that's what they were trying to do to him. And he didn't incriminate himself. He continued to show the quality of his character by trying to diffuse the situation.
Detective Gillis tell the truth?
He specifically says the words verbatim. He just agreed with this flashlight. Do you believe there are grounds for a lawsuit?
There are absolutely grounds for a lawsuit. He doesn't want to be involved in one. Again, because who pays? The taxpayers of Louisville. Scottie Scheffler doesn't want the taxpayers of Louisville to have to pay him a dime. He wishes to move forward from this case.
Should there have been...
No, he was not. There are multiple eyewitnesses to the incident. The actual initial contact that I've spoken with, I have statements from, that the county spoke, the prosecutor's office have spoken with, that confirm that he was not dragged. You believe they would have dismissed this case if he was dragged? No, they would not have. That did not happen.
Did the detective tell the truth about what happened?
People make their own decisions on that.
How is Scottie doing today, Steve? I mean, since the news of this, how's he feeling?
He's happy it's over. He wants to move on. You know, he's still the best golfer in the world, so there's a lot to be said for that. And he's glad it's over.
That was in the body cam video.
That is him speaking.
And where does that video come from? Was that leaked?
You'll have to take that up with whoever got it or LMPD, because
You think?
it wasn't provided in discovery, because discovery has not been undertaken yet in the case, because it was dismissed before discovery began.
Should the detective...
Yeah, police overcharge every day. Any of you all get arrested leaving here, you're going to be overcharged. That's what happens. Why? Because it gives them more leverage in negotiations. In this case, they didn't have any leverage because A, we had eyewitnesses, B, we had video, and C, Scottie had the resources to defend it. That changes everything. But yes, police overcharge every day to every person.
Do you believe this was an overreaction? And two, have you seen photos of any of the injuries or the officer's uniform?
What I believe isn't important. My job was to represent, my client, who, again, I represent people in criminal charges all the time, and people ask me, how do you represent somebody you know is guilty? And my response always is, it's a lot harder to represent someone you know is innocent, because that's a lot more stress.
So have you seen any photos of the injuries or the uniform?
I've seen everything there is to see in the case. Like, anything else?
Should the detective have received more than counseling for the body cam, given the history in Louisville?
Well, should they have received counseling for the body cam, or
No, more than that.
Yeah, or the fact that a guy was falsely arrested? It's how the police discipline other officers is obviously been an issue around the country and in Louisville especially for a number of years. Will this change it? I hope, but You know, we've had a lot of litigation, some of which I've been involved in, that hadn't really changed it to this point. Department of Justice came in, you know, had a consent decree. I don't know that that's changed it. So, you know, the one thing that you should take from it is every person, regardless of, you know, if you're the best golfer in the world or just going to watch the tournament, you are one wrong turn or one encounter with a police officer going sideways, even if you do nothing wrong, and being charged with a plethora of crimes that you didn't commit. And it can happen to anybody. And it does. It happens every day.
Does Scottie want to come back to Louisville later tournament here?
If they have another tournament here, I'm sure if the PGA comes back, who knows when that'll be, but, you know, if it's a tournament worthy of Scottie Scheffler playing in it, I'm sure he would play in it. That's, you know. However, we don't have any of those as it stands now, and so, you know, I don't think this has had such an effect on Scottie that he says, I'm never coming back to Louisville again. He obviously didn't want to come back for court, but nobody wants to go to court. But obviously, if there's another major championship played in Louisville, I'm sure Scottie Scheffler will play in it.
Has he messaged you anything that stands out about being glad this is over?
Everybody who is charged with a felony offense is glad that it's over. Everybody. And so, yes, he's glad it's over. His press conference the day this happened expressed his sentiments and his character and his condolences better than anything I can say. So I don't want to speak for Scottie Scheffler. He's much more eloquent than I am.
Would you like to see a public apology?
Sure. I've been doing this a long time. Public apologies are hard to come by from the police.
If you were to pursue legal action, who do you think would be named as the parties in the lawsuit?
We're not. So doesn't matter. We were prepared to go forward beginning the day of the arraignment with civil litigation. Scottie does not wish to do that. Again, for the reasons I've stated, he has no desire to, A, be involved in litigation, and B, try to recover money from the taxpayers of Louisville. I've already addressed that. He was polite as always, and really trying to diffuse the situation. We're not, obviously, it's not Scottie's desire to pursue civil litigation. And I've made that clear to the county. That was not some sort of quid pro quo regarding the criminal case. And so, document-wise, there's nothing out there to release. We did make it clear that forcing him to appear on Monday was somewhat of a hard deadline of that type of litigation. But again, Mr. O'Connell was very eloquent in his comments of they do have an obligation to investigate the case. And you can't do it in 2 days. You know, some of the eyewitnesses, I provided them their information. Some of them they found on their own, that type thing. But he's got an obligation to do his due diligence in the case, and he did that. And we are, obviously we're pleased with the result.
Is Scottie Bryan Gillis in your parents' house?
You can. But, we are, be clear too, there were no monetary, Scottie didn't pay anyone anything for this case to go away, nor is he going to, and there was no stipulation of probable cause. We were not, that was a deal breaker in the case, is we would not stipulate probable cause for the arrest.
Do you have any communications with the PGA about the incident?
No, I represent Scottie Scheffler. PGA is not my client. So, anything else? Thank you, guys.